made it live from the City of Angels. It is 5:30 in the morning here in Los Angeles, and thank God I'm joined by Scott Menzel here live on this. What is it? Thursday? God, I've lost all track of what day it is, Scott. You ready
It's
to
a
do
day.
this? No, it is. It's the one day that we do this, and am I thrilled to be on at 5:30 in the morning here in LA? No, but I am very excited to have Scott alongside. Get ready for the Oscar nominations live. You can see them here. We're going to pop it up. They'll be joining us live from Beverly Hills again this year. I don't believe. Yeah, okay, they did. They brought a crowd in this year. All right. They were not going to do that initially, weren't they, Scott? They said they were going to not, and now they are. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, which is also weird because the fires, now there's 2 more fires going right now.
Exactly. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let's listen in and we'll comment as we hear.
On behalf of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, I want to welcome you and extend our deepest sympathies to everyone impacted by the fires here in Southern California.
This has certainly been a difficult time for Los Angeles, where many members of our film community, industry work and live. But the last several weeks have proven what we already know to be true. Our film industry and Los Angeles are resilient. And for almost a century, the Oscars have brought us together to unite and celebrate our global film community.
During this year's ceremony, we will honor the talented filmmakers nominated today, pay tribute to our brave first responders, and celebrate the enduring spirit of Los Angeles and the film industry.
And now, without further delay, to announce this year's Academy Award nominees, please welcome Rachel Sennett and Bowen Yang.
So we're expecting a very big day for The Brutalist, Anora, Wicked, Amelia Perez, those 4 for sure.
Your favorite person's doing this.
Why are you doing that to me this morning?
It is to be with you today.
Here we go.
Me and Bowen are wide awake. We have been up since 10 p.m. and between us, we've had 3 Diet Cokes, an entire pack of cigarettes, and 1 Adderall.
What about
and
a C4?
you get to guess who had what. Don't worry, everyone. Rachel and I have been through extensive pronunciation training for all the names today. Let me try now. Wicked.
Amazing, Bowen. That was really good. Well, let's not keep people waiting any longer. Let's go.
Are we ready for some nominees?
Let's go.
First, for best performance by an actor in a supporting role, Yura Borisov in Anora.
No surprise.
Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain.
The winner, right, Scott?
Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown.
Again,
No surprise, really.
Yep.
Guy Pearce in The Brutalist.
No surprise.
No surprise.
And Jeremy Strong.
Yeah, it's good.
Nah,
Love it.
yeah, it's good.
I love seeing him in there. What
Next,
a performance.
the nominees for Achievement in Costume Design. A Complete Unknown.
No surprise.
Conclave. Gladiator 2. Nosferatu.
Fine.
And Wicked.
Yeah. No
The
crazy
nominees
shit
for
yet.
Achievement in makeup and hairstyling are A Different Man.
Yep.
Amelia Perez. Nosferatu. The Substance. And
Good.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Next up, the nominees for Achievement in Music, Original Score. The Brutalist.
Yes. It's your winner.
Conclave. Amelia Perez. Wicked. And The Wild Robot.
Yeah. Universal pushed hard for that. For Wild Robot.
Now this year's nominees for Best Live Action Short Film. Alien. Anuja.
Don't ask me to comment on these.
I'm Not a Robot. Last Ranger.
We'll get to them.
And The Man Who Would Not Remain Silent.
Many
Oh,
such cases.
there's a
Yes,
surprise.
of course.
Okay. Okay, for Best Animated Short Film, the nominees are Beautiful Men.
Where?
Okay.
Again,
In the Shadow of the Cypress.
we've seen none of these. You didn't see these.
Magic Candies,
I saw a couple of these, but not
Wander's
enough.
Wonder,
I mean,
and Yuck.
you have to
By
be really
Charlie
twisted
Chaplin.
to watch all these. Yuck. They do bring the shorts out to you, though. It's nice to have a
Wonderful.
package
And
where they
now
show
we have the
5
first
of
of the
each
2 award categories
at the
honoring
theaters.
writing. First for adapted screenplay, the nominees are A Complete Unknown, screenplay by James
Love
Mangold.
it.
and
Oh,
Jake
what a
Black.
surprise.
I love it.
Conclave, screenplay by Peter Strawn. Emilia Perez, screenplay by Jacques Audiard,
Mhm.
collaboration with Thomas Bideguin, Leah Messius, and Nicolas Levecki. Thank you. Nickel Boys,
Nickel
screenplay
Boys.
by Ramel
Good.
Ross
Yeah.
and Jocelyn
Good.
Barnes.
Good.
And Sing Sing, screenplay by Clint Bentley, Greg Queter, story by Clint
So
Bentley,
quickly,
Greg Queter,
Wicklin-
Clarence
Wicked's
Wicklin,
not-
John Devine.
Wicked's not here, right? Yeah.
No.
But Nickel Boys and Sing Sing, right? So which one's going to get into Best
And
Picture
for
is the
original
question. Because
screenplay,
it's
the
probably
Sing
going to
Sing.
only.
are
Well,
Sing, sing.
I hope it's Nickel Boys.
Honora, written by Sean Baker.
Ugh.
Favorite, your favorite.
The Brutalist, written by Brady Corbet,
Yeah.
Mona Fastful. A Real Pain, written by Jesse Eisenberg.
Which would be winning, but
September
probably not.
5.
You better be.
Written by Moritz Binder, Tim Thelbaum, co-written by
Okay,
Alex
I had that
David,
in there.
and The Substance.
Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
we get an
no.
ad.
It's
Give me a
not
second.
crafty.
I'll skip. We won't
It's
miss
your
anything.
craft.
There it is.
Actress in a supporting role. Monica Barbaro in A Complete Unknown.
Good for her.
Yes. Yeah.
Ariana Grande in Wicked.
No surprise.
Yeah.
Felicity Jones, The Brutalist.
She gets in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isabella Rossellini in Conclave.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez.
Okay,
There you
so I just watched Emilia Perez last night, and that's the right
Okay,
call to only
wow,
get one in.
What a
100%.
start. Congratulations to these Oscar nominees.
Oh, we gotta break.
Hey, stick with us.
Stick with
We'll
us.
be right back with more nominations.
Okay, turn that down and just quickly go over a few of these. I think that's the first thing is on supporting actors. By the way, you're not going to get Scott or I this morning freaking out like the weirdos that do the street. Oh my God! Did you see it? We're not doing it. It's too early. Okay. Second of all, that's not how we operate. And third of all, why are you watching that shit? Okay, so don't do that. But when I just watched Emilia Perez last night, I was watching it going, listen, Zoe, first of all, is the lead of the film. Okay, we had this discussion last night on X, on Twitter, and just watching it. Finally, I got around to it because you guys know I do not like Netflix movies, and I do not support anything they do. But I wanted to see it because I knew it would draw a lot of nominations here this morning. It has, and it will continue. But Zoe's the lead, so that's the thing is, and we talked about this last night, right, Scott? They put her there in supporting because studios are allowed to slot where they want you to consider their actress or actor in a film, and they know they can win that because it's such a huge meaty performance, right? That's hers for the taking there. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's been I thought for a period of time that maybe Ariana would sneak in there, but I think we've seen enough right now that we know that that's more than likely not going to happen.
Yeah. And so people are going to say that we already have a snub, but again, watching the film, Zoe, if you're going to put her in supporting,
who's the snub?
Well, they're going to
Gomez.
Yep,
No.
that's some people are going to say that.
And I love Selena Gomez. No, everybody knows that. But
well, no, that's not there. It doesn't. She if she's going to be that's the one that you should leave out for sure. And we go back to supporting actor because we're talking about obviously the biggest of the just announced Oscar nominees. Thanks for joining us here live from the City of Angels. Here, Eric Weber alongside Scott Menzel and MMT. Way too early for this. Way too early. But when we look at the supporting actor category, it's Kieran Culkin's to lose. I mean, he should. If he does not win this title, then and does not win Oscar, we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even. You look at
not even a question.
No, it's really not. And he is one of the best performances of any, right? If you were to take any supporting, any lead, male, female, you're going to pick Culkin as one of the best performances. I just like seeing Jeremy Strong there because, for so long, people were like The Apprentice and Trump and blah. And listen, you got to be able to separate and understand that what Strong does and Sebastian Stan in the same film.
Some of the that's the best performance he's ever given.
Without question, it's better than A Different Man. And you look at those two. Hopefully, he's going to get in. Sebastian, a lot of people are not predicting it. I still think he's going to get in. Because look, we already have Strong in, so clearly listen, there's a faction of Hollywood that does not hate Trump. I know people don't. They're not going to say it out loud, okay? But they're going to show you with little things like, hey, we watched The Apprentice. I mean, I think that is the myth that all of Hollywood hates Donald Trump. They cannot say they like Donald Trump, but I can tell you this, that not everybody does loathe him, and that's where you start to see they're going to watch a film like The Apprentice and appreciate it for the performances at a minimum.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So we look at again screenplay as well.
Oh yeah, I don't know why anyone it was funny. Like I think in mine over at Awards Buzz, I think I was the only person who picked Complete Unknown for screenplay, and I was like, "What?" I mean, listen, I think the screenplay is not good in that movie. I know you and I are going to disagree on that.
I think it's one of the best easily of the year. I mean,
but I knew that was going to happen once all the traction started happening. Again, I've learned. We all learn from this. Sometimes it's not what we want our favorites to be. Just like the score from Wicked, right? Like people are going to probably be pissed about that score because, how was this in here?
Substance score should be in. Substance score should 100% be in here. But you look at where we are so far, and we're seeing exactly what we thought off the top. I think we're coming back. Here we go. Let's bring him back up. But we're seeing Emilia Perez. You're seeing Wicked. Give me 1 second. Let me hit the right button here.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I hope it gets in for cinematography, Wicked. That's so it pisses everybody else off again.
Why can't this do this like I want it to do? There it is. Turn it back up.
This moment in our careers. Bowen is such a huge star on SNL. He's in the hit movie Wicked.
Oh, thanks. And Rachel is Fatima.
Thanks so much. Let's keep going. So anyways, the nominees for Achievement in Music, Original Song are Amal from Emilia Perez.
No surprise.
Journey from the 688.
No surprise.
Diane Warren.
Bird from Sing Sing.
No. Oh, that's a surprise.
Mi Camino from Emilia Perez.
We knew we were getting two in there. They are.
And Never Too Late from Elton John.
Wow, Kiss the Sky Mist from the Wild Robot.
Yeah, you listen. Wild Robot's overrated film.
Sorry. And now the nominees for Best Documentary Feature Film.
Okay.
Black Box Diaries.
Yep.
No Other Land. Porcelain War. Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat, and Sugarcane.
Wow, Daughters missed. That's surprising.
Next, for Best Documentary Short Film, the nominees are...
We've seen all of these.
Yeah, everyone's favorite.
I Am Ready, Warden.
Again, the shorts we'll get to at some point. It's the last thing to watch.
Heart, and The Only Girl in the Orchestra.
Wow, I mean, that's a surprising thing we did with Horrible over on picking that.
Serious stuff.
Serious stuff.
Yeah. For Best International Feature Film, the nominees are
Emilia Perez.
I'm still here. Brazil.
No, there, of course. Emilia Perez is winning this.
The Girl with the Needle. Denmark. Nothing for Denmark. Emilia Perez.
The Girl with the Needle is really good.
It is.
The Seed of the Sacred Fig.
Yeah.
Germany.
We knew that. Neon was pushing it harder than anything.
And Flow, yeah. Again, Flow's a very overrated film. It's a short, dragged to a long.
For Best Animated Feature Film, here are the nominees.
Flow's going to be here. Wild Robot.
Yeah.
Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2.
Please, Diary of... It's not here.
Memoir
Diary's
of
not
a
here.
Snail.
Memoir of a Snail. I'm sorry. That's it. That's the
That's
one.
a great movie.
Oh, God, yes. That's exciting.
And
Wild Robot. Yeah. Memoir of a Snail is one of the... for me, the #1 animated film I saw this year.
I really love Memoir of a Snail.
Nominees for Achievement in Production Design.
Wicked's winning this category.
Well, Brutalist is impressive.
Conclave.
Yeah,
but used AI.
Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
No surprise.
Nosferatu.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Wicked.
Yeah. So far, nothing crazy here this morning. Nothing like, oh my God.
Next up for Achievement in Film.
Everyone's going to be upset when Jamie Lee Curtis gets nominated.
Honora.
Yeah. I don't know if she belongs there.
She doesn't.
September 5th better be here.
Conclave.
It's one of the best edited films of the year.
Perez.
It's the last chance right here.
And Wicked.
No.
There you go, Wicked.
Listen, it's fine. But I'm just telling you, September 5th is one of the best edited films of the year.
Sound. Here are the nominees.
It just didn't hit.
I know. I understand. But we got to extract elements, man.
Yeah, I know.
Dune
People
Part
don't know
2.
how to do that. Yeah.
Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah.
And The Wild Robot.
Oh.
That's we occasionally see an animated sneak in and they push it. And
That's
Universal
good.
really
The nominees for
went after
achievement
it.
in visual effects.
Give us something
Alien
Maybe a
weird.
song, but they got that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Alien
Better
Ramos.
Man.
Yep. I called that.
Good. Finally, Better Man
Dune
gets something.
Part 2.
Yep.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Ugh, we got 2 apes.
And Wicked.
Yep.
Fine.
Alien should win that category just because it's practical effects, but it'd be Dune.
For achievement in cinematography,
Yeah, remember
the
Dune
nominees are
slayed all of the tests
Brutalist,
last time around.
Dune Part 2,
Mm-hmm.
Will Nickel Boys get in?
Emilia Perez,
We're going to find out right now.
Maria,
Oh,
Okay.
and Nosferatu.
Nope. No Nickel
no
Boys.
Wicked. No Wicked either. Okay.
Yep. That's probably the only time we'll see Maria. No, we'll probably get Jolie in.
Role.
but-
The nominees are
Okay.
Adrian Brody in The Brutalist.
Wow, what a
Well,
surprise.
Will we see Sebastian
Timothée
Stan?
Chalamet in A
Wow,
Complete
what a
Unknown.
surprise.
Exactly.
Coleman Domingo in Sing
Wow, what a
Sing.
surprise.
Rafe
Give us Sebastian
Fiennes in
Stan.
Conclave.
Give us
Wow,
Sebastian
what a
Stan to mess
surprise.
things up.
And
Come on.
Sebastian
Yeah.
There you
Stan
go.
in The Apprentice.
Let's fucking
There you
go.
go.
Are you kidding me? Who called that? I
Yeah.
called that the day I saw that film. No way. Too bad.
Performance
There
by
he
an
is.
actress in a leading role.
Deal
the
with it.
nominees are Cynthia Erivo in Wicked,
Yeah.
Carla Sofia Gascon in Emilia Perez,
Yeah, should be supporting.
Mikey Madison in Honora,
I'm
Demi
surprised.
Moore in The Substance,
Probably winner.
and Fernanda Torres in I'm
Yep.
Still Here.
There you go.
I've got to see that. It's coming out this weekend. Finally get to see it.
For achievement in directing, the nominees are
Mangold, please. He deserves it.
Sean Baker, Honora.
Yeah.
Brady Corbet, The Brutalist.
Mhm.
Mhm.
James Mangold, A
There it
Complete
is.
Unknown.
Let's go. We called that
Jacques Audiard,
the night we saw it.
Emilia Perez.
Again, no surprise. This is DGA,
And
right?
Coralie Forgeot,
Yeah.
Yep.
Substance.
Yeah. So Portia gets in. And listen, they don't want to hear the 5 white guy thing.
Final
So,
category, I
but
cannot
she
wait.
deserves to
I
be
bet
there.
this
I'm just
season.
saying.
She
Don't
deserves
think
it.
Like we should.
don't think
Okay,
that that's
here
not
are
part of the
the
equation.
10 nominees for
Okay.
Best Motion Picture of the Year.
Here
Let's
they
see. Does
are.
Nickel Boys
Go.
get in? Let's
Honora,
hope.
Alex Coco,
I hope it
Samantha
does.
Kwan, and Sean Baker, producers.
Boom. The Brutalist. Nominees to be determined.
A Complete Unknown, Fred Berger, James Mangold, and Alex Heineman, producers.
Mhm. Conclave, Tessa Ross,
All of
Juliet
this as
Howell,
expected, guys.
and Michael A. Jackman, producers.
Where's the
Well, no-
surprises?
Dune
No, there's
Part
nothing yet.
2,
Just give it a
Mary
second.
Parent, Caleb
These are
Boyer,
all- yep.
Tanya Lapointe,
The
and
back
Denis
end, it's going to be,
Villeneuve,
is it Nickel Boys or
producers.
Sing Sing? That's the question. Dune, of course.
Amelia
yep.
Perez, nominees to
Yep.
be determined,
Mm.
producers.
I'm Still Here, nominees to be
Oh, there we go. There's
determined.
your
Oh,
surprise.
there you go.
Gets in.
There you go.
Let's
Yep.
go. Come on.
Okay, so that
come
means
on,
something's.
come
It means
on.
Sing Sing's probably out.
Nickel Boys, nominees
Okay,
to be
Nickel Boys is in.
determined.
Called it.
Yay.
Bang. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
The
Very good film.
Substance, nominees to
Good.
be determined.
Good. And what's our last one?
Wicked.
Yeah.
And Wicked, Mark Platt, producer.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sing Sing, I called it. Sing Sing does not get in,
There
Scott.
it is, you guys.
Listen,
y'all.
Sing Sing's a very, very overrated film outside the performances. Macklin didn't get in, though, did he?
No, he didn't.
Macklin's the best part of Sing Sing, so that's extremely disappointing that we didn't get him in there. But you look at Nickel Boys, it was in my top 10. It deserves to be there. I'm Still Here is the one that some people thought might have a chance to get in, but it does sneak in. And that is a surprise. What was the other? Let's see, Sing Sing gets in. Oh, Real Pain doesn't get in.
Real
And
Pain
that's a
doesn't get in.
That's a shame because A Real Pain is a very, very good film. And ultimately that is I got none of us are on the stream right now. I can't get anything working here. Here we go. There we go. Let's get rid of that. So, overall, there wasn't really a shocker du jour here this morning. I would say, we did not get Last Showgirl in. And I think that's
That's a good thing. For
It is.
I mean, not for Pamela, because I think she deserved it, but I mean everything else, the movies.
Yeah, it's fine. It's not an Oscar film, okay? And the narrative of Pam Anderson is certainly an interesting one and one that Hollywood typically likes. But to see her out from a
But they have
really
they
a
have
merit
Demi Moore. They had
standpoint,
Demi Moore on this
correct?
one. That's what the
Of
problem.
course,
Who also has more power in Hollywood.
Well, and it's a better film. I mean, right?
Well,
I mean,
wow.
Substance is a much stronger film. I think, listen, for me, just listen to everything we just sat through here again, hellaciously early here in Los Angeles. It's all about Sebastian Stan and The Apprentice, and because when I watched that film, I got around to it late in the cycle. I didn't get a chance to see it theatrically, but he is one of the best performances of the year. Whether he's playing a guy you love or hate, ultimately that shouldn't matter. Okay, when we evaluate these things, no, Scott, you're the same way, right? You don't bring the politics in. I don't bring that into the evaluation. It's never happened. It's never going to happen. Okay, we talk about whether if you like a film, if you think a film is strong, it's not because of the genetic makeup of the director. It's because of the skill set of the director. So to see who's in here across the board, I think everyone's pretty much. I don't see anyone who's like, I really don't see how this person got in. And it was nice to finally see Amelia Perez. I got to say, we talked a little bit about it last night, but Scott, listen, I think it's a much stronger film than Anora, for starters.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. I think, especially from a directorial point of view, I was that was the one that I was actually kind of on the fence about him getting in, and Netflix has got to be through the roof. Although it's kind of interesting now, right? Because my thought process as to why they didn't put Zoe lead was because of Angelina Jolie and Maria.
Right.
And that movie really fizzled out. I mean, there's got to be something that has to be analyzed about why so many people do not resonate with I forgot his last name. Pablo's movies.
Yep.
Yeah. There's got to be we have to try to figure, there's clearly this, I mean, and we've seen it now, how many award seasons with his movies that there is just this, they never hit the way that they're supposed to.
Well,
And
Spencer should have.
Yeah.
I didn't get around to Maria. I can't comment, but from a director, right, to directorial standpoint, he's very, very strong across the board. So I think that is a good question to ask. I think in this case, it's Netflix, right? I mean, look, Netflix only got Amelia Perez in. Really? Did they get anything else?
They got what?
Note?
Maria. They got just what would they get? Cinematography, right?
Yeah,
cinematography.
Right. Which is there. We do talk about extracting elements,
but there's also
but
it's also it's a name recognition too. It's Ed Blackman for that one, so it's like a very well-known name. So
right, which happens quite a bit here, obviously, in this town.
Yeah.
The veterans of the space will get preferential treatment when it comes to these things. Let's just talk about a complete
like Diane Warren. I mean, if anyone's seen that movie, I mean, listen, that's not a great movie at all.
No, listen, I don't want to trumpet to MMT being the number one prognosticator across all individual streams in the history of YouTube/X. But when I watched A Complete Unknown, what was the number one thing? Anyone who was here that night when I came out, I said, listen, that is one of the best directed films of the year. And I know I kind of got into it with you. I sent a tweet to you, or I sent you a message, and then you guys like, I'm just here to tell you Mangold's getting in. And everyone's like, what? You got to understand, man. We know what we're doing here. And I'm not attacking Scott. I'm attacking all of the film Twitter nerds who don't know what they're talking about. They really don't. Okay, I've got to do it. It's early in the morning. I'm going to do it again here because I have to remind you guys, when we say these things are strong here on this channel, we know what we're talking about. Okay. And I'm here to tell you, Amelia Perez belongs in the top best picture race. Okay. I watched it last night. Some of you are losing it. You do not like what I have to say. I'm going to remind you, I have never once evaluated a film because of look, I hate Netflix. I won't support for anything, but I sat down last night and I watched Amelia Perez here at home. And for me to be locked in for 2 hours without grabbing my phone tells you that Amelia Perez is a strong film. Okay. Again, directorially, visually, performances. So if you don't like the film, I'm here to tell you, you might not like the message. You might not like the transitioning, it's all that. I get it, but you can't bring that into the evaluation, Scott. I think we have a lot of people who do. They bring the politics in. I don't. I never have and never will. Okay, so you got to be like that. And I think overall they largely got it right. I do not like not seeing A Real Pain though in Best Picture because it's one of the best films of the year.
Yeah, I mean it is a little weird. I mean, Anora being on here, I think I mean, that's the movie that, I don't know when that movie was playing at festivals, going back to the Cannes Festival. I just don't know how we're at that place with that movie. That's I guess is where I am with some of this. I mean, listen, I clearly I think Timothy and Monica. I mean, I couldn't be more happy. That to me, that's like for Monica and the two from Apprentice today are the two people are the three overall that I'm like the most happy about. Because I agree with you. I mean, I've always kind of been like on the fence about Sebastian Stan. Like there's some movies that he's good in, but like he's a very kind of like he's a weird actor for the most part, most of his career, where I felt like he never did anything that really stood out. And like
I agree.
These two movies this year, because of Different Man, which I wasn't huge on, but it was still an interesting film. It was like it just wasn't as polished as it should have been. But Apprentice, again, Jeremy Strong and him are like two of the best performances I've seen all year.
And again, they get it right, and thankfully people watch the film, because remember there was that whole thing about no one wants to do the actor sit down with Sebastian Stan for the movie. And
I also, do you think that's let's break this down a little bit further. Do you think that also comes from the fact that Trump won?
It could. It could. I hope
just something to piss, it's like Hollywood knows that they'll piss him off by getting that nominated.
Yeah, there's that, because the film does not portray him in the best light. I mean, no question. But listen, it's funny because it's weird. You know this. I've never gone into any evaluation of a film and discussed the politics of anyone involved. Man, it's so strange to say, oh, we're going to put him in because maybe it'll piss Trump off. How about we just put him in because he's great? I mean, that's the thing, right? It always comes back to merit. Always. It will never not come. I mean, the reason I'm excited for Nickel Boys because it's a great film. That's the reason. Okay. And someone commented that the cinematography not getting in for Nickel Boys. Wow. I would 100% agree. Yeah. I would, that again, that's extracting elements. Okay. So clearly it's one of the best of the year, and it gets into Best Picture, but can't find cinematography. It's wild to me that you can't. If you're going to pin it on one thing in Nickel Boys and say what makes that film so unique, it's going to be that cinematography. But I am thrilled to see it get in. And by the way, that's Amazon. Amazon gets in there. I'm still here. What studio is that? Sony Pictures Classic.
It is.
Okay, so they get something in. And that's kind of the big surprise for Best Picture is that film gets in both international and in Best Picture, just like Emilia Perez. But we knew Emilia Perez would get in both. So
what I love real
kind of the
quick?
Surprise. Yeah,
I always love this, and is like when a movie like I'm Still Here gets in, because of the fact that we all know, like if you pay attention to this, and we know because of being in the space for so long. It's always like encouraging when you see a little movie that could get into this that doesn't have like a huge, massive awards campaign budget. And we've seen that now with two movies this year because, Mubi has not had a huge budget to push Substance, right? It's just been the word of mouth has been strong. But more importantly, I'm Still Here, which is like the little engine that could, right? That's a movie that has just kind of gained
100%
traction. Yeah. Even though, like there's been no like real campaign for that movie. It's just that they've been showing it, and that's it.
And you look, I mean, SPC does have a legacy of getting
Oh,
film
yeah.
right. They've fallen for sure over the years, but they're still a beloved label / distributor / studio here in Hollywood. Let's go through this. We'll go through all of it. Everyone who's just joining us here on the live stream, thanks for being here live from the City of Angels. Always MMT, never taped. And we're joined this morning by Scott Menzel. It's coming up on 6 in the morning here in LA. So it's way too early for both of us, but we did make the stream barely at the last second. Let's go over the actor leading role. We talked about this moments ago, but we'll go over it again. Those of just joining us, Brody, Chalamet, Domingo, Fines, and Stan gets in, and the big surprise, I think, for some is Sebastian Stan, but he deserves to be there. Best performance of his career. And I think, though, ultimately, we both agree that it's going to be Adrian Brody who wins this. Would you go ahead and throw your money on him as well?
Right now, I'm a little concerned with all of the brutalist backlash of it all right now. So I am feeling more Chalamet in that one.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still going to go, but I think there's your two for sure that are going to go head to head in that one.
I feel so bad for. I mean, listen. I know you weren't a big fan of Sing Sing, but I gotta say, for someone who's such one hell of an actor, I just feel like for the last, what has it been? Has it been 2 or 3 years in a row? Coleman Domingo has been in a conversation, and it's just like he has to keep going to these shows, and it's like it's so rare that he wins something because he's such a gifted actor. I really do hope that something happens for him. Maybe he'll get it. He'll finally win when he's in supporting actor for the Michael movie this year.
Yeah, and you look at. I mean, listen, I don't hate Sing Sing. I think it's fine. I think it's very cloying. It forces you to feel emotions. I don't like that. I want a film to just kind of. So I think it's not one of the best films of the year. So that they got right. I'd much rather have Nickel Boys in here than Sing Sing. Okay, because those were the two that we figured would be battling for probably that 10th spot, and we found out obviously Real Pain also was another one that some people thought wouldn't get in. That should be here as well. I mean, certainly over Anora. Listen, I'll continue hammering Anora, not as loudly because it's too early, but I'm going to tell you that the fact that it won, I understand that it won the Palm at Cannes. Okay, I get it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. You guys, we don't just because something won something somewhere and because Greta Gerwig called it the greatest thing ever, just assume that that's true. Why are we doing this? I don't want to. That's not how I will ever operate. That because a certain person championed a film or because it won a title somewhere, therefore it's validated as one of the best films of the year. Listen, across the board, Anora is one of the most annoying, most overrated films that we will ever have. With this many Oscar nominations, God forbid wins when we get to the actual ceremony, it'll go down as one of the worst Best Picture.
I don't think it's going to win anything.
Well, it better not. But I'm just telling you guys, anyone who says that Anora is a great film or deserves to be considered for the best film of 2024, I'm letting you guys know. You don't want to tell people that. I'm just telling you. You're going to destroy any credibility you have because it's right there. And I understand film Twitter's like, well, it's so great. I'm telling so many people on film Twitter, I'm going to let you guys know your taste is absent. You have none. It's not even existent. And it's wild to me that people, I'm telling you, you know what we have, and you know this, Scott, we have seen it over and over. We have lemmings. We have people that once someone proclaims something as great, it does all, then it is, right? Because that's the world we live in now. We don't have a bunch of critical thinkers who walk in and say, well, I've heard Anora is very good, but let me watch. Oh my God, that was me when I saw that early screening in Birmingham. What are we doing here? And it takes a lot of guts to stand up against any kind of mob that's saying something is fantastic and you say, no, it's not. And then remember back to Everything Everywhere. Scott, we had this conversation a few years ago when I said that film's hellaciously overrated and look what's happened over the years. People are saying, oh, you know what? It really wasn't. It should have been Tar. Well, who was saying that back in 2022? Don't be the person that 2 years from now says Anora is not good. Come in now You see, that's the difference between someone who is fearless and someone who is timid and wants to get along. And then finally, when it's, quote, safe, they step out of the shadows. Don't do that. Be the person who's first out there taking the bullets. Don't be afraid to do that, because ultimately you'll be proven correct. And I know I will be over time. Here comes actor and supporting role. There's Borisov. Then you have Culkin, who will win this. Norton, Pierce, and Strong. Can I just quickly, I don't know if you agree with me. We've never had this discussion about Guy Pearce in The Brutalist. I really am not loving his performance. I'm not saying, and listen, I don't think it's a Razzie performance, but he is acting. He is putting on, you can feel it. And I've seen that many times with Guy Pearce. And if he would have missed here, I would not have been disappointed. Okay.
Well, it's better than Denzel in Gladiator 2.
Well, at least Denzel makes Gladiator 2 watchable at times. My God, that movie, right? I mean, but I understand, but I still would. I don't know. I probably would.
You know what the problem? You know what the problem is with the Guy Pearce performance? It's everything in the second half of that movie when it comes to the performances. I've been saying this since Venice. And I know you just had this comment with someone the other day. Someone was like, Brutalist is not a masterpiece. And it's funny because like when you watch the first half of Brutalist, like it is like almost a near perfect masterpiece in the first half. To me, it's that second half of the movie. Once the intermission hits, everything feels like they throw everything into that movie. Everything feels rushed. There's just like stuff that comes out of nowhere. I don't know how people feel about that rape scene in the movie. It's been long enough. Enough people
it definitely comes. You're like, whoa, right? Yeah, when that rolls
and then
around.
when she goes to confront him in the house, like I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, and then it jumps this huge time jump in the movie. I'm like, why?
Actually, I liked. I got to say,
you did?
Funny? No, because I love the first half, right? We know that. You too. And then that second half, and then I love the end. Well, first of all, I do get swayed by any kind of tech house progressive DJ music, and that's exactly what we get in there. We get this kind of this house thumping stuff, and I'm like, where are we going with this? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, I kind of like. Listen, what I like about The Brutalist is it's obviously a very big film, right? It's an American epic, as it were, as you hear so often. But across the board, it's one of the best films of the year, even if it is flawed. I mean, yeah, right. We didn't come out and say it's a masterpiece, but it definitely deserves to be in the top 10 films of the year. Again, not a great year last year. I've said it over and over that we had one of the worst years we've had in many a year. And across the board, the films were weaker. Although you do have, for me, A Substance that pops out. I think Brutalist is a very good film. A Real Pain was one of my favorite films of the year. I mean, hell, I have Joker 2. Joker 2 is a better film than Anora.
Oh, no question about it.
If anyone wants to, come in here, I'm going to tell you something. If you think that Anora is better as achievement, just an overall cinematic achievement, than Anora, if you guys, I can't even explain to you how wrong you are. You are so mistaken, and you have some kind. The problem again, you get back to Joker 2, and I know you were one of the first people to see it, Scott, and you were shocked when these reactions came in, and I saw it very early too. Right, that Monday before it opened, I went to see it. Not a lot of reactions out there. I said, this is cinema. This is big, strong, big swing shit. And whether you like what he did to Arthur or not, again, if you are someone who has these expectations for your character to have to do this, or this, then you're not going to be reliable as an evaluator. You've got to go in and know that what Todd Phillips did with Joker 2, and a big director agrees with me and with Scott, okay, on this. It's one of the best films of the year. And the fact that Razzies say, it's got the most Razzie, because they know that's going to get them attention. They know that was a huge bandwagon hate film. And if you fell in line with that, you shouldn't be proud of yourself. You should be disappointed in yourself. You should never fall in with a crowd, okay, because they all are hating something or they're all loving something. That's a perfect example we're talking about here. Joker 2 and Anora, right? Joker 2, we're all going to jump on the bandwagon of hate, and in Nora, we're all going to jump on the bandwagon of love and best thing. This is bad. This is dude. I don't want to hang out with people like that. That's your mindset is broken, man. I don't like tribal people. I have no interest in somebody who only sees things through the lens of whatever politics or whatever the crowd says. I don't want to have anything to do with you. You're not interesting. You need to become more of an individual critical thinker. And if you are, you'll realize, as Scott and I did, Joker 2 is a far greater achievement than Anora will ever be. Whether the Oscars tell us that or not, I don't need the Oscars to tell me. I know I'm right. And Scott, you're right too. You were right on that initial evaluation. It will in time become a film that is viewed as a great film. I fully believe that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and especially since, again, what's crazy about that movie, to me, is even if you don't like the narrative of the movie, like, how can you not subtract elements like the score or the cinematography or the production design? Like, it's just like, people saying it's the worst thing ever made. It's like, extract elements. Once you have a couple of those already out, like, even if you don't like the movie, even if you don't like the performance, which again, like, how can you go from an Academy Award winning performance to a Razzie performance when you're playing the exact same character? Like, can someone please explain this to me?
I actually said I think he's even better here. I do.
I agree. Yes,
I know. It's because, listen, the Razzies are a joke. It's an embarrassment. The worst films of the year we already did. Go back and look at the MMT stream. We were right, and Joker 2 was not on that list. The Razzies want publicity, and they know that hammering Joker 2 because the crowd goes along, right? And they say that's what we want, and they give it to them, and then boom, they get all of the publicity. But it's, again, no way, no shape, no form. That film is one of the best films of the year. Actress in the leading role. Go ahead.
I want to comment on this. The Kidman's going to fire, but listen, I don't know where in God's green earth anyone saw the Baby Girl movie and was like, you know what, she should win. I'm like, this is literally like 50 Shades of Grey level cringe, and I never saw it. I have no understanding how this ever became a thing. I literally saw it at Venice. And I was just like, huh? Why? Like, I didn't even understand why I was in the conversation.
It's because it's Nicole Kidman. Remember, we're doing the same shit, right? It's the same people that say because it's Nicole Kidman, it's good. Because it's directed by X, it's great. We don't, dude. Listen, I don't care. The best is the best. It doesn't matter if they've been there before or they've never been there at all. And that's what happens with the Kidman, right? And you go back to the AMC and all this. She's so beloved. I never saw it, and I'm not going to see it at this point because everyone seems to have the people that are like, Baby Girl. I can't sit through another terrible A24 film this year, right? I mean, we had so many of them. So A24, hold on for a second. Did A24 get something in Best Picture? Well, wait, hold on. What was it? They didn't get anything in Best Picture, did they? I'm just in there. It was Sing Sing was their one opportunity, wasn't it?
Brutalist, dude.
Oh, Brutalist. Here's the reason why I say the Brutalist.
Because they bought it.
That Brutalist is an acquisition. Okay,
but they don't make any of their movies.
Well, no. They no, that's not true. That's not true. They make the terrible ones. they made Bodies, right? They made they do. They definitely.
By the way, Baby Girl is made by Bodies by his director.
Oh God, then I'm definitely not going to watch it. Okay, actors. Here we go. Speaking of Kidman, here we go. Erivo, Gascon, Madison, Demi Moore, and Torres. Not really, no surprises there, except for you say Kidman. But again, we just discussed that. Demi Moore will likely win here. Although I will say, wouldn't it be interesting? Netflix is going to push hard for Gascon, and she shouldn't be lead. Right? It should be. And the funny, watching Amelia Perez finally last night, Zoe is very good, right? So Zoe could have had a shot. I feel like she's going to win supporting, right? But I think maybe if you put her in lead, maybe you could swing out two of those, 2 wins. Although it really feels like Demi Moore is the runaway winner here because of that. Like we saw with Brendan Fraser, certainly the Substance is better than The Whale. I know Scott doesn't want to hear that and me say that, but Substance is certainly better than The Whale. And so I think, would you agree that Demi Moore wins this? Scott, you got me?
Yeah, I'm here. Did it
okay.
kick back in?
No, I got you. Did Demi Moore's winning Best Actress? Do you agree?
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right. So she's in. I mean, she's going to win that again. Narrative, right? And I just said just like The Whale, right? Just like the Brendan Fraser. But again, Substance is better than The Whale, Scott. I know you don't want to. It is. Actress supporting role: Barbara Grande, Jones, Rossellini, and Zaldana. Zoe.
So can we let's rank these performances real quick, okay?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, so I think it's Zoe, Ariana, Monica, Felicity, and then Isabella. Like I mean, you know what secured her spot, right? I mean, voting ended. Actually, no, voting didn't end. I bet you it was that fucking photo of the Oscar. Like you saw that photo, right, of her Oscar like burned to the ground.
Yeah. Oh no, I didn't see it.
But that's literally like when I saw that, I was like, oh, she's getting in. Like as soon as I saw it, like it was like a burned Oscar on the ground. I was like, oh, she's getting in.
Listen, Rob Lovelace comes in and has good comments, and I would 100% agree. In fact, when I came out of Conclave, I'm like, you're going to put Rossellini for what? She's like in for a minute and a half. I mean, listen, that's funny, right? We talk about how there's category fraud. You've got Zoe Saldana, who's in virtually every frame of Amelia Perez, right? It's through her eyes, the entire film, and she's supporting. You have Rossellini show up and drink a Coke in the background, and then she gets a nomination. So that's what it's wild, and I would agree with that. That's why I was like, why are we? There's got to be, and listen, for at that level, I would take Jamie Lee Curtis from A Last Showgirl. Just because at least there's something I remember from the movie. I don't even remember anything Rossellini, maybe a couple things. So again, it's always about legacy. I mean, don't get me wrong. And plus, remember that she just won. Jamie Lee just won. So there's that too. They're like, she just won. So we don't really need to put her in here. But yeah, Rossellini's like, how did you even get in here? But she's a legend in Hollywood. That's how those things work.
I can't believe you haven't seen that photo. That photo has been viral.
You got to understand, I avoid as much film Twitter and stuff as I want, but I'm sure it's there. I mean, obviously living through the fires that we have, and we, like you said, Scott, at the top, we're still have, thank God the wins aren't nearly what they were over the first couple days that we saw. But, Hollywood pushing forward with this, and I think they should, but they're obviously going to make a big part of the show honoring those who lost their lives, lost their homes, so many here affected by those fires. So they understand the optics, and yes, it'll be a party still, but a little bit more subdued for sure, no question. Animated feature film, let's talk about those. Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, love. God, what a film. Of these, it's my favorite. Wallace and Gromit, I did not watch because I think that's Netflix. And Wild Robot, who I believe is a very overrated film, but I don't have a problem with it being here for the top 5. But if you're asking me, which one of these would you pick? Which one would you pick? I can tell you here, for me, it's Memoir of a Snail. Which one would you pick?
I mean, I'm between Memoir of a Snail and Wild Robot. I will give a slight edge to Memoir of a Snail for 2 reasons. Number one is that I love stop motion animation.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably my favorite animation form, and I know that it takes so much attention to detail and time to do it.
Yeah.
So, and plus, it's an independent film, so I would give it the slight edge in my if I was the gun to my head and like someone was really asking me to do it, I would say Memoir of a Snail. But unlike you, I do really love Wild Robot. I really do love it,
even though it's derivative of so many other films. But listen, the thing about Memoir is, if you haven't seen it, some people in the comments saying I got to watch it. You do. Memoir of a Snail. Well, you're just sitting there. I had no expectations for the film, and then all of a sudden you get some serious emotional shit that you would find only in a very heavy drama in the middle of this claymation stop motion animation, and you're like, okay, like that's cool. In fact, I remember sitting in the theater just going, I can't believe we're doing this, but I love that we're doing this because again, animation doesn't have to be just for the kids, right? It can be, as we've seen in films like Memoir of a Snail, remind you that we can have deeper emotional issues portrayed on the screen, and this film does that, and that was a surprise to me for sure, but one that I was very much excited to see. Cinematography, you look at the nominees, The Broodless, not a surprise. You look at Shot on VistaVision, that's throwing it back. It's got that huge scope to it. And so that should be there. Dune Part 2, Greg Fraser, again, one of the best, if not the best, working today. Maybe Perez gets in. I would agree. It looks very good. Listen, I just watched it last night, and I don't have a problem. I'm glad I got around to it because I knew it would show up everywhere here. And the question was, is it deserving? And again, I can say yes. And I know for some people that are out there like, Weber's going to hate this film. It's going to be, and it's good. Emilia Perez is a strong film. I can still loathe Netflix, but I'm not in it's the most overrated, worst thing I've ever seen, like some of you are. Maria, we talked about, Scott, you mentioned Pablo Larraín is very good visual director, and you have certainly a cinematographer here that everybody is familiar with in the Hollywood community. And then Nosferatu. When you talk about Eggers, his films are going to get attention for cinematography, and again, it happens. So I think
remember when people said that the acting in Nosferatu was gonna
oh my
break
god, oh my god, that's right. They said Johnny Depp's daughter was going to get in.
Yeah,
right?
Lily Rose Depp.
Oh my god, wow. Yeah. Again, the Nosferatu people don't trust somebody who makes their entire brand like a movie. Like, I'm going to become the person that talks about Nosferatu all the time. Wow, let me tell you, you're really something. That's really an interesting person. Those are the kind of people I want to hang out with. Like, first of all, if you've seen Nosferatu, the cinematography is the only thing I would extract from it. Other than if there was an award for worst mustache in a film, I would put that in there for sure. I mean, it would be right there with Nosferatu looking like Yosemite Sam. But I mean, it's not a good film, okay? And Robert Eggers continues to be, if not, Scott, and I don't know if you want to endorse this, but I believe he's the most overrated director in Hollywood right now. I really do. I mean, I can't even believe Focus Features is like, let's make a Frankenstein. You hear that? They're like, let's make a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, really? Can we just have him take a break?
Eggers is a weird...
Ugh.
It's a weird director. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
he's cold. He's a sterile director.
It's a very weird thing because I would say like he definitely has a sense of style and a vision.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just sort of like I kind of want to watch him do something different now.
I don't know if you do. I don't think he can do it. I think he's like a modern art museum director. Look, my film looks great, but it has no emotional resonance.
I want, who I want to make a different movie also, and I don't know if he's capable of it either, is Sean Baker. I really need Sean Baker to move away from this sexual stuff.
How about he just stops writing? I mean, he's not a good writer. I'm sorry. Sean Baker's. Listen, Florida Project's is his best film. Okay. And there's still issues with that film. He doesn't write his best. What were you going to say? Because he doesn't. Here's what he doesn't do. Look at his characters. They're one-dimensional. His characters are always one-dimensional. Brooklyn Prince in that film was one-dimensional little bitch. Sorry, I just called her a little girl. She is. That's in the film, right? She's constantly unlikable. And at the end, she has her turn where you're supposed to feel sad for her. Well, boy, that looks a lot like Honora, isn't it? A one-note bitch the entire time. And at the end, she has her turn you're supposed to feel for, and you don't, because it was never set up throughout the film. You've got to layer your character. Sean Baker's the most overrated writer in Hollywood. There's not a contest. We're not having any kind of debate. And as a director, you're right. He is a very strong. I love the way his films look, but from a writing standpoint, he's not impressive. Sorry, Sean Baker.
This is a very funny comment. This is a very funny comment.
Listen,
he was like, I can do it better. He's like, I can do it better. And Focus was like, yes, you can, sir. You made us a movie that actually made money, which I
It did.
I will be very. I'm going to be honest. I was very surprised that movie made as much money as it did.
It was the perfect timing. It was the perfect timing. It was the Christmas quarter. Remember the counter programming, right? That's big. Costume design, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2. The one time we see that this morning, thank God, only one. It's a bad film. Nosferatu and Wicked.
I don't know.
So,
I don't know about seeing like the Nosferatu costumes. Like I get why it's here, but I'm also kind of like, yeah. But it's also like I feel like we've seen those costumes done like a million times.
Well, listen, they don't always. They're not smart all the time. The voters, right? Yeah, they just. This is what feels like we should do. A lot of times, it's what we should do rather than what you want to do, what you feel you. I think I should do this because it's the right thing. And
can we talk real quick about this directing category?
Yeah, because I'm excited to see Mangold here. What do you have to say, Scott?
I was like. I know I have my bias on this, so I'm going to just say it and I'll call it out. But I mean,
you're going to say Wicked,
John M. Chu, what he would have done, what he did with Wicked in terms of like a scope.
I agree.
Compared to what Anora did with Sean Baker did with Anora.
Okay. Listen. I wasn't even going to go there until you just did, and you're 100% right. If you're extracting someone out of this, and we just talked about if you're getting rid of them, and we're just going to yank them out, you're eliminated. It's Sean Baker. Sean Baker is so out of this category, and I'm putting Chu in. I 100% agree. Chu, one of the best directors of the year for that scope, for bringing that adaptation to the big screen the way he did. That's an achievement, much greater achievement than Anora. Okay, and you know that. And you're not, and I'm just because you're on the stream. I'm not saying that because I know you love Wicked, no question. But everyone else here, Broodless, Mangold, Atiard, and Farja, all belong here. Okay, and yes, Emilia Perez deserves it. It should be here, and Mangold for certain because we came out and said it's the best directed film of the year. It is because it moves so well. It's got a great. Again, you talk about the scope.
I never thought I would say this, Eric. I never thought I would say this, but I actually, I didn't love the direction in this, but if like you said, if I had to extract one, I would actually leave Mangold in too. And again, that's just the reality of it. But we all agree, right? Corbet is this is like, no question about it. Like you can criticize that movie all day, front and back, but like what he did from a directing point of view is just, and for that budget, holy crap.
And people love the shot on VistaVision, right? That shows the love for cinema. That shows, right? And I think the other thing, Sean Baker talks so much about that. He is a cinema guy. He always tweets out, I'm going to see this at the movies. He doesn't see as many movies theatrically as me or Scott, but he sees a lot. And that's a part, listen, that's part of the game too. They're like, oh, he loves old Hollywood, so let's put him in, but he shouldn't be here. And Sean Baker's overrated. I'm not going to get angry this morning. I'm very chill. Film editing, Anora, Broodless, Conclave, Perez, and Wicked. So quickly on that, you talk about the films that have the best chance to win Best Picture. Well, they're going to show up in editing. Okay, that's typically you usually see that tie, right? So these are the 5 that have the best shot to win. Obviously, we kind of knew that. So you look at of these films, if I were to say right now which film's winning Best Picture, and I told Scott this weeks ago, and I don't know if he's changed his mind, but I'm 100% with this. It's The Brutalist that's going to win Best Picture. I said this from if Anora wins, the reaction stream that night is going to be the most tirade laden hour, 2 hours. I might go 3 hours just savaging Anora if it wins. Which of these films that we see in front of us, Anora, Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, or Wicked, which one wins? I've got Brutalist. What are you taking here this morning, Scott? Don't mess up.
I've been on the fence about Brutalist just because of the subject matter kind of being, it's about the Holocaust to a certain extent. And still, I know that there's a big group of voters who's not going to agree with that messaging. And now I'm concerned with the additional backlash of it. So, but I also feel like it's the movie like to beat right now because I feel like you got to give A24 credit on that they released it at the right time. and I feel like they did a really good job of like releasing it because it did develop really strong word of mouth. So yeah, I'll say the Brutalist for now.
Okay.
Unless Universal does something really, really big, huge, massive push for Wicked, I think it's going to be Brutalist.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that I think that it's that first half of the film is going to always hurt Wicked, even though I don't subscribe to that, because you go back to Dune. Dune's better than Dune 2. Okay. Again, it is. It's a better film. Dune's a better film. And it should have won Best Picture that year. Won all those techs, right? But it couldn't win Best Picture because it was the first half. Someone mentioned Strange Darling in here. It's never going to make it, right? And listen, and I got to tell you a couple things. First of all, someone said Substance. Substance is a very well-edited film, but September 5th it should be here. And I understand it didn't make Best Picture. That's why, right? Remember, when you have, we just talked about it, editing ties to picture. So you're going to have, these are your 5 biggest chances to win. They should come from this. But September 5th is stronger than Strange Darling from an editing standpoint. I mean, I like, listen, we're big fans of JT Mulder, but Strange Darling is never going to get in. I don't think it's strong enough to even get in. I mean, I think it's a solid film. I really like, again, JT's prospects going forward. I think he's a director we need to really pay attention to, but I don't have it even in my top 10 of the year. So, but it's cool. You listen, guys. First of all, we love that you watch the stream and you're enjoying it, and and you have opinions. That's great. I don't think that's crazy. You know, if you came on here and I'd take it over Nora, what wouldn't I take over Nora? Name a film this year. International feature film. Brazil is I'm here. I'm still here. That wins. That gets Best Picture too. So that's important, because that means it has the best chance to win here. If you have a Best Picture nomination, your chances of winning international feature are very strong. But we also have Emilia Perez here. So, Scott, we have 2 of these films that are in Best Picture. So obviously there's only 2 films that have a shot. It's going to be Emilia Perez that wins because it's Netflix. They will make sure that happens. Of all of these, I still have not seen Seed of a Sacred Fig, and I'm Still Here finally opens in Burbank, so I'll see it. But I did see Girl with the Needle, and it's very strong and it's dark. Oh my God. If you get a chance to watch The Girl with the Needle, you talk about a depressing film. Okay, so just know that if you go in to watch that and you expect something other than to be your jaw on the floor going, I don't think I was ready for this, that is The Girl with the Needle. So, but high recommendation, even though we haven't ever done an MMT evaluation of that. But would you agree Emilia Perez wins here, Scott?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? And then number 2 would be I'm Still Here. Makeup and hairstyling, different man, because we know what they had to do with Sebastian Stan. So obviously that's going to get a play here. Emilia Perez, same thing. You had all the makeup on before and after the transition. You've got Nosferatu with the mustache. I think the mustache probably got that. That's part of the hair, right? The choice to put a mustache on him. Don't defend that. It's terrible. I know you won't, Scott. But I remember I had to hear all this. Nosferatu's the best movie ever. And then I went to watch it. I'm like, wait a second. Why does he have a fucking mustache? I mean, I have one, but I'm not playing Nosferatu. Do you see? You guys understand? I don't care if it was the fashion of the day. It doesn't matter. From a fear standpoint, he looks so stupid that you just go, this is bad. Why is this is not? I thought when you first see Nosferatu and he's in the castle there, I say to myself, I go, wait a second, is he going to shave? Because that can't be in the entire movie. Nope, he's going to keep the mustache. Terrible. Substance is certainly deserving of the makeup, right? I mean, my God, right? The end of that film. And then Wicked. I think it should be Substance, but because listen, A Different Man's very strong makeup. Emilia Perez. I'm going to tell you though, I bet you Netflix puts a really big push on this, right? They will, to win for Emilia Perez, and I could see that happen. Even if you think it's Substance, I could see it happen. Could you not see that happen because of Netflix? For
hair and makeup?
Yep. Because of that transition, the transition.
I know, but I don't see
I'm
it.
just telling you. Okay. Music original score. I really wish we would have seen Substance here. Belongs here. But Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez.
Also, no challengers, which is,
Yeah, that again doesn't show up anywhere, and we kind of knew that, so we knew because it doesn't show up. But then occasionally, like Maria, you get some things that pop in, but yeah, it didn't get there. And plus, that's the Academy doesn't like that, right? That tech heavy, progressive house thumping stuff. They're like, this isn't what I want to watch. They want to watch the traditional Brutalist, Conclave. They want to watch that. And
that score though on the Brutalist is very good though.
It is. I agree. It's great. I'd pick it. I actually would pick it over. I would pick it over Challengers. It's just, I don't know. It's close, and I love Reznor Ross. And if I have a film, I'm getting Reznor Ross, Michael Levi, getting one of them to do my film, or of course Ludwig, one of the three. Music, we did that original song. Who really cares? Other than we got two Emilia Perez, and we've got a Diane Warren again. She gets in, not a surprise.
You talk about someone who, again, we talk about this every year about just having fan clubs of all these people. I mean, and listen, kudos to Diane Warren. She's someone who obviously she goes around and she campaigns herself to death. If you've been to an FYC event, if you've been to an FYC event here in LA, which is crazy, is that like she'll be at every one of them. You'll see her all the time.
Yep. And just quickly, I've told this story before, but a couple of Oscars ago, I think it was 19 or 20. I think it was 19. I met Diane Warren out and about when we were doing the parties, Scott, all that. And I was invited to her house the night before the Oscar nomination. She has a big party at her house in Beverly Hills, and they all get excited for the morning to see if she gets a nomination. And quickly, that was the year that it was up against Wild Rose, which I love Wild Rose. I know you like Wild Rose, right? And I said, Wild Rose is going to get in. I don't think that Diane's going to get a nomination. It's the last time I ever was invited to Diane Warren's house. But I did get to spend the night there. She orders like 15 pizzas, and everyone sits around and waits. They stay up all night. So Diane Warren's probably just going to bed. She gets in again. What a surprise. You believe the Academy will spread the wins around? It looks like it, right? Scott, I mean, again, there's no 500-pound gorilla here, although Netflix would like to think it's Emilia Perez. Thank God I like the film, because if I didn't like the film and Netflix was trying to pull that shit, then I would be furious again this morning. But as you can see, I'm more subdued. The only film I really don't believe has any business being discussed here is, yes, Anora. So I'm okay with Emilia Perez, but I think it makes sense. I think right now Brutalist wins Best Picture. Although, Scott, would you agree that it's Corbet and Brutalist? I think it's a sweep. I do. Mm-hmm. But watch out. What film? Okay, if it's not the Brutalist that wins, what wins? It's Emilia Perez.
I mean, it might be for Emilia Perez. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I really do, especially after watching it. Insert AMC A-list promotion. Thank you, Mark. Of course. I mean, listen, how do you think I saw all of these films? A-list is the best investment you can make. I'm not sponsored by AMC. I should be. It's $25 a month.
By the way, everybody, I'm watching this stream. I was the person who told Eric to get A-list after he kept driving around to screenings. I said, dude, why are you doing this to yourself?
I didn't understand that you could just pay $25 a month and watch 3 movies a week. Why am I driving anywhere? So now I just watch them down the street at Burbank. If I'm going to see Flight Risk tonight, don't ask me why.
That movie, it looks like it's going to be fun, though.
Dude, I know. But what a day. We're gonna bookend the day. We have a stream in the morning and a reaction stream for Flight Risk, which is definitely not an Oscar film. I have a feeling that'll be tonight, not a long one. After getting up at 5:30 this morning to talk about this, here's your Best Picture. Let's do this, and then we'll take comments, and then I'll probably go back to bed. A Best Picture, Anora is non-deserving. Get it out of here. Brutalist, Complete Unknown, hell yeah. Conclave, Dune Part 2. You got Emilia Perez. I'm Still Here. Kind of the surprise here this morning. Gets into international and to Best Picture. Nickel Boys, I am very excited to see here. The Substance and Wicked. So we did not get A Real Pain, Sing Sing. Those two are out. What was the other one that was bandied about as being one of the the last ones in, Scott? I'm forgetting something here this morning. One of the best pictures.
September 5th was
Yeah.
they were really pushing that hard.
Yeah, I would have taken it here, but I'd take it over Nora. I don't think the rest of them I don't mind. Even Conclave, I'm not a huge fan. You don't love Conclave, right? You think it's fine, but you don't
No,
love
I think
it.
it's fine. I mean, it's another one of those movies where like all the performances really kind of make the film stand out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like the movie itself is kind of like,
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Two Popes is a better film. I love Two Popes.
Yeah,
I know it's a Netflix film, but it's oh my god! And Two Popes did Two Popes get in for Best Picture?
I don't remember.
I know it got a lot of nominations for acting. I don't think it did. Should have. It's better. Again, better film. Two Popes, better film than Conclave. Super chat here.
Where's Nosferatu, man? I mean, everyone.
Did someone think it would get in? Did someone?
Yes.
Dude,
yes,
you have to. You have
thing.
to know. You got to know when you watch Nosferatu. That's not a Best Picture. Come on, guys. What are we doing? Come on. And again, listen. Jason would have kept the mustache in Nosferatu, though. Make it gray hair. Something, anything to make it scarier. I was not scared of the shriveled up Nosferatu in the entire film. The original Nosferatu is a hell of a lot scarier than this. So. That's disappointing, but the film is not exciting. I almost fell asleep. That was the screening I had, Scott, where I had the little baby in there. The baby came in. It was like literally like 4 weeks old. And the mom was putting shooting headphones, the shooter's headphones on so the baby wouldn't cry. And initially it's really loud. If anyone's seen Nosferatu, the opening scene's like, and you're like, oh my God. And then the baby fell asleep because the movie's so boring. So I want to thank Robert Eggers for making a boring movie because the baby fell asleep. I didn't have to worry about the baby crying because the baby had no interest in Nosferatu, and neither did I by the time I was about, half an hour into that movie. Better Man should have been nominated. I agree. I see Vadim just came in with a comment. Because listen, but Better Man is one of the best films of the year. Scott, do you agree? We never talked about Better Man. Do you agree or not?
No, I have to rewatch it. That musical sequence in the street is probably one of the best scenes of the year.
Amen.
I said that recently. I have to rewatch that movie. I don't know if the gimmick of the movie works, which is I think probably something that I couldn't move past when I saw it.
I disagree. I mean, I think when you first watch it, right, Scott? When you watch the trailer, you go, why are you doing this? But once you get into the movie, it disappears. It for me, it totally disappeared. Like I didn't even think about him being the monkey, right? The monkey's just part of the film. And it works, and the numbers are fantastic. Greatest Showman director on this again.
Oh, that guy! That guy is an amazing director.
I know you like Greatest Showman. I love Greatest Showman too. Okay, I think I like it more than La La Land, certainly for the songs. I mean, I enjoy La La Land for a lot of it. Certainly the ending, that's how I'd finish my film with La La Land. But the songs in Greatest Showman are better, and he's a what a visual talent that he is as a director. And you look at what he does, I think what Paul King, they're almost similar, right? Paul King and Paddington, they have that same visual splendor they can really deliver to a film. And Wonka was not impressive, but again, the way, right? Because of Chalamet, I think Chalamet's not great, but Wonka's not great. But you look at Paddington, but I can't wait to see whatever he does next because Better Man is a great film. I really enjoyed it.
He's supposed to get the Tangled live action.
Okay,
which I think he's actually a really great choice for,
right?
Because it's a musical heavy film.
You listen again. We talk about it all the time. The singular directorial imprint, right? The ability of any given director to deliver the source material in truly spectacular fashion. And you talk about Chu going back to Wicked. For sure, one of the best 5 directors of the year. I would have Mangold in there. I have him. I have Forjat. I guess we talked about definitely get rid of Baker, and I would get rid of Conclave pretty much in almost every single category. But for sure, Courbet. Right, these are the best directors of the year, and every time that I have one of my best films of the year, it's direction. Better Man, direction. Right, because who's the number one most important person on a set? Director. Because if they have the ability to deliver across the board in every single aspect, then it doesn't matter. Even if the screenplay is not totally there. If the direction is strong, then you're going to be very happy with what you're watching. And so, again, the fact that Baker is a guaranteed slot here is bewildering, baffling, and angering again here this morning. I think that's everything. We did best picture, so we're good to go. Production. Oh, we didn't do production design. Quickly on that: Brutalist, Conclave, Dune, Nosferatu, Wicked. Not a surprise on any of those, right, Scott?
No.
Sound. The one time we got Wild Robot that came in, so that
was a little bit.
Yeah, they pushed that. Universal really went hard on that film, so they get it in there. Complete Unknown, no surprise. Dune, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. Visual effects, Romulus, Better Man finally gets in. Dune Part 2, King of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. Let's get back quickly. I didn't get the screenplay. I thought we did. Give me a second. Let me pop it over here, do this, and get me both of us on there. And let's do adapted screenplay. Complete Unknown, good. Conclave, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. I don't have a problem with any of these, right?
What you know what's crazy about this is the where Sing Sing wound up getting nominated is confusing to me. Like the song, like
right,
that's where you would nominate this movie, and I'm very taken aback by some of these choices.
Well, I'll tell you, who should have been in for supporting Clarence Macklin.
Yeah.
Macklin's great. He's the best part of Sing Sing. He's better than Domingo. He is. He's better than Domingo. I understand that one's a lead and one's supporting, but Macklin has to be in there. But yeah, it is weird to see that in there, not Wicked, because out of nowhere it didn't. Because usually, so here's the thing. So the fact that Wicked did not get a screenplay means its chances of winning are very low, winning Best Picture, right? Because you typically you need that screenplay to get picture. So that's a bad sign for Wicked.
Well, what's the other categories though? Because it have tech, right?
It has editing, but it's screenplay. It's got to have screenplay. So that's a big problem.
Them missing directing and screenplay is a huge flag.
Well, listen, here's the thing though. You look at it's still the first half of a film, even though you don't look at it that way. I don't look at it that way. The Academy has shown historically that that's how they value. Look at Lord of the Rings. You look at Dune. Dune is a better film than Dune 2. Guys, it is. It just is. And the fact that it couldn't win Best Picture because it was the first half of a film is absurd. So yeah, Wicked could totally. I mean, I wouldn't pick Wicked as my favorite film of the year. I know you really liked it. I like it a lot. It belongs here. Okay. But the whole first half is not the reason, right? I would never say, well, it's not good because it's the first. I don't care if it's the first half. Is it a great film, guys? It's the same thing we talk about all the time when we talk about all of these movies. I don't give a shit who the director is. I don't care what the genetic makeup of them is. Are they talented? Is the film? Is the performance? Is it merit based? Is it great? And that's all that you need to ask. So I don't understand how these people sometimes go through these reviews and through these selections trying to slot things for checking boxes. I don't think we have a lot of that going on here today. So that's good, right? Where you have someone that's kind of forced in, right? We call it, obviously we talk about DEI quite a bit on this stream. I feel like that's finally starting to die off, which is the way we should do it. You earn your spot. Okay. It's that simple. It's not hard to figure this out. If you're good enough, you're going to get in. And if you have an impartial judge, someone who is talented at seeing these things, then they should be able to find you and get you into wherever you belong, because ultimately that's what we're looking for. And I don't think there's anything here this morning that stands out to me other than Honora, as you guys know. For me, is there anything, Scott, that stands out as maybe doesn't deserve to be here at all? Like you're like, how is this here? Aside from Honora.
Not really. I mean, I would actually say that's probably the problem with this award season overall is that it's kind of boring. I mean, it's just sort of like the same couple of people. I mean, outside of The Apprentice, again, being a little indie that could, which is something that I'll always support, movies like that don't have the massive budgets that somehow manage to break through. I love seeing that, and especially when
in this case, we kind of both agree that there is a lot of elements of Emilia Perez that deserve to be here and that the film should be here. But what's crazy about it is knowing that like a Netflix throws $100 million at a campaign. And then yet you have a movie like Apprentice that barely can scrape together probably like $1 million to campaign. And I always said this. I said this, I know in this year where you completely disagree with me, was the Coda year, where like the Coda people, they just made sure they got the people out and they made sure that people saw it and people had the reactions to it. And that's why that movie, they didn't spend what Netflix did on Power of the Dog. They didn't do a live orchestra screening of these things. And I really think sometimes you let a movie stand on its own merit and let people just kind of like appreciate the elements that are going to work on people. And sometimes that breaks through. And I that's what makes me the happiest when I see that, because Hollywood is a money game. People throw a lot of money at these things. We all know how much they pay for parties. We all know how much they pay for FYC events. So it's nice when you see something that doesn't really have a lot of money and it breaks in, and it makes me happy.
Yeah, and that's Netflix. We're talking about the Latino slants. Like Emilia Perez is garbage. I disagree. I totally disagree. Nora's garbage. Okay, of all the films that are here for Best Picture, Nora is the biggest piece of refuse that we have had in Best Picture ever. I mean, maybe ever. It's that bad. Okay, I can't even fathom. I'm not gonna get angry because someone just said Weber's so civilized when there's a guest. It's not just that. I have to say, it's the fact that it's 7 a.m. Okay, I got up at 5:30. The alarm went off at 5:15 this morning. Scott, did it go off for you? And you're like, oh, why am I doing this?
Yeah,
every year we do. The nice part though is being with Scott. We've done this now multiple years in the morning on an Oscar nomination morning. Is that I know that someone else is suffering too. So the two of us come together to suffer for your enjoyment over the past hour and a half that we have been on here. And if you're just joining us, we'll take a few more comments. But overall, I think the Academy largely got it right. But I would agree 100% with Scott here that this is a weak year. I mean, listen, you go back to 2022 and we talk about the strength of that year. You talk about a Tar, Decision to Leave, After Sun. You've got Moon Age, Daydream. That is some good shit right there. And all of those films. And we don't have that this year for me. Even A Brutalist, which I really enjoyed, has a lot of weaknesses on that back end for sure, as Scott mentioned. Certainly anybody who's seen it and you're getting a chance to see it now, it's coming to your town, go watch. You'll see on that back half. But, none of the films that I have from this year are rated higher than the 4 films I just mentioned from 2022. Because
every year it gets progressively worse.
It seems like it's the case. I mean, or occasionally, like you go back to last year, you had Holdovers, right? Probably the number one film for me. I think for you, one of them for sure. Yeah. But it's rare you get that one. And again, back to 2022 and Tar, that's a masterpiece that deserves to win everything and wins nothing. I mean, that's when you lose faith in the system. And this year, whatever wins, I'm not going to lose faith in the system unless it's a Nora. I mean, if it's a Nora, it'll be the end. Okay. And listen, just Scott and I, either of us like live or die with these nominations. Hell no. You didn't see. I want a little love from everyone watching. Did either of us freak out at any moment going, oh my God, even when I saw Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, okay, I'm great. But you don't see me like you see these people, right? On you got the thumbnail, Scott, and you see them like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this stuff? Don't be like that. It's phony. It's fake. Why? Listen, we will go on from today, no matter what did or did not make the list for the Oscars here today. But it's always fun to watch. We put a lot of time into this. Scott went to like virtually every film festival, so he's traveled the globe seeing these films. Whereas I just waited for them to come down the street so I could ride my bike if I wanted to the AMC to watch in the pleasure of my recliner. So we put a lot of time in, and listen, we want to like every film. All right, Scott. I mean, when people always think that you walk into a film wanting to hate it. I have never, ever. Have you ever? I don't care what it is. I've never sat down, even Sean Baker's next film. I will never sit down and say, "Oh, I can't wait to destroy this." Like what? Why?
No, I mean, listen. I went to see even after you told me not to see it, and a lot of people told me not to see it. I even went into Craven the Hunter, like literally like hoping that it was going to at least be somewhat enjoyable. Can we just say like
No.
Ariana DeBose like worst performance ever in that movie?
Oh
Like I
man.
have no idea what she was
No.
doing, and I feel so bad. Like, how do you go from being such a gifted
Yep.
actress to like the last couple of movies being some of the worst things I've ever seen?
ISS. Did you see ISS? She was
No,
also in
what
that.
is
No,
that?
okay, she was at the International Space Station. She was in that. Yeah, no, she because she has bad advice from an agent, right? Agents help you pick projects, and the problem with a lot of agents, majority of agents, is they're going to tell you to do the project for the money, right? You go back and you look at Madam Web, right? You're like, should I make Madam Web? The answer is no. I mean, you have to know from the script and also from Sony Marvel, say no to that. And that's what happened. Dakota Johnson gets an agent who says yes, and she fires her agent. If I were an agent, Scott, I would say no to virtually everything. My client would be like, am I ever going to work? I'm like, no, this isn't good. No, you're going to wait. And then I would come across a brutalist, or I'd come across something like not a Nora. I'd come across a complete unknown, whatever it may be. And I'd say, you're going to be in this because this is where you want to be. Listen, actors have to pay their bills. So they end up taking things like, she says, I'll be in Craven the Hunter. But you're right. It does her no favors in the long run. People need to remember that if you sell out and you take that paycheck, that it's going to dent your career, certainly as an actor. I mean, I even look at Lion King Mufasa, and you look at, why did you agree to direct that? You're talking about somebody who has an Oscar and Barry Jenkins, and you the films that you make, why did you say I'm going to make Mufasa? I mean, what a waste of time, a colossal waste, right? A colossal waste of time and energy. And now you have to pretend that I never did Mufasa because, you know, and I'll tell you what, I've said this before, Scott, you couldn't pay me enough to work for Disney. Like, they would say, hey, we want you to make this movie and we're going to pay you $5 million. I'd be like, I'm not making your movie, because I know that if I go work for you, you're going to make me do something I don't want to do. And as I've said many times on the stream, Scott, you certainly know me, I'm not going to do something that just for the money. I don't have any interest in that. But I know the directors say yes, and then they get in and they go, I can't, they're making me do what they want me to do. And then you have to know that, though. How do you not know that? Ask Chloe Zhao.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, ask, what's his face, too? What was Sam Raimi, right? Wasn't that like in Multiverse of Madness?
Oh,
like,
shit.
Yeah. Like, it's like you can see
Mangled
glimpses. Oh yeah, you can see glimpses of filmmakers in those movies, but you can tell they had no control. Like, it was just no control.
Oh, this is a great comment, Jason. A bunch of them here this morning. Thanks for the super chats, by the way. Everybody who's doing that, much appreciated. Sean Baker should learn from the Park Chan-wook. I mean, listen, dude. Decision to Leave screenplay. The fact that wasn't nominated, like, that film didn't even get an international feature. It wasn't in Best Picture. It wasn't in editing. It wasn't in score. It wasn't in cinematography. It wasn't in screenplay. Are you kidding? You guys, you understand exactly, Jason. You get it. I mean, that is Decision to Leave. If you guys have not watched Decision to Leave, just go put it in. But just know, here's what you have to know about Decision to Leave. You must be dialed in. That film takes so much bandwidth, but if you are with it and you are following where it's going, you're at the end of that movie, you're going to sit there and go, and that was Decision to Leave. You had Tar and Decision to Leave are two masterpieces from 2022. We had zero in 2024. I would argue Joker 2 is as close. It's one of the closest. And Scott, I know you called it that.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about it. Joker 2, it deserves to be here. It's not a Razzie film. Y'all crazy. We're right. And you all jumped on the bandwagon. You all jumped on the bandwagon for Anora, and you jumped on the Joker 2 bandwagon of hate. And it's disappointing, man. It's sad. It's sad when you see that. And I know, Scott, for you, because you saw it really early, how crazy was that to see the reactions come in after you knew that it was a strong film, as did I. And then you see everyone going, this thing's the worst thing ever. My God, Joker 2.
Yeah, I mean, I just knew it was going to be polarizing. And I remember I walked out of that screening at Warner Brothers lot. I think I was like in the first crowd that saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember turning to the rep and I said, oh, this is going to be even more divisive than the first one. And she's like, you think so? And I'm like, yes, because it completely deconstructs the whole entire first film. and people are going to hate the fact that, it's going to hate the fact of what the message says. It's going to hate the fact that like it's not what everyone wanted. I mean, it's funny because the Joker and Joker 2 are like the most fascinating, some of the best and most fascinating films in the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
If you really kind of like look at it and what it's saying, like there's a lot to say there about our society, and I don't think people like it.
Well, again, the disconnect. I mean, I'm telling you, as the weeks wore on, obviously it bombed, and then that was the other right. The other half of this is people hate to be attached to a loser financially, even if they thought the film was good. It bombed, so you can't like it. I've never said a film is good or bad based on the financial success. Tar did not make money. It doesn't equate. It doesn't even enter into the equation. Okay, so I don't care if Joker 2 bombed. I don't care if some other film made $1 billion. What matters is the quality of the film. It doesn't even matter. Steve, super chat here. Good shout out to the first responders. Yes, 100% here. Love Rachel Sennett. I'm not as big a fan, but she was fine this morning. Bo and Yang, both of them energetic. Yeah, at 5:30. They said they were up all night. I mean, in a way, they might have been, right? You don't want to go to bed and wake up. It's hard. Like this morning when that alarm went off, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Thank you, by the way, to C4. I don't care if you tell me it's not healthy, guys. This will get you. It's rocket fuel in the morning. Pronounced them all pretty well. Borisov nominated. He was great. I don't know. Listen, if I'm going to take one thing from the film, I'll probably take him. I don't have a problem with that, right? Extract one thing from Anora. That's about the only thing I'm going to extract. But all in all, again, bad year, or at least at the very minimum, a down year. And we had a few films that popped, but it's no 2022. Let's hope 2025's better. You never know. At the beginning of the year, you just don't know.
Dude, you ran through the lineup the other day. I watched your stream, and I'm like, how can you even say that at this point? It's sequels galore.
But I'm saying if you look at, I think the Film Stage, one of those real cinephilic sites, they list some films that are coming, right? The more of the award stuff at the end of the year from smaller directors. There's some things coming, but you're right. This year, if you looked at it on paper, I would have said I'm excited for this year just for like a Rose Glass alone. I mean, I liked Love Lies Bleeding, but it wasn't at the level for me of a Saint Maud, and it's still a director that I want to see the next thing. Does Charlotte Wells have her film drop this year? Who has a film coming out this year is John Patton Ford, and Emily the Criminals. Very strong, man. I like John Patton Ford. So that's the thing is, right? So the most anticipated films like sequels, both of us are like, who cares? Ultimately, we want to find that substance. We want to find that next film that is like, wow, here we go. And there'll be something this year. Let's just hope there's more than one. Let's hope there's 5. Let's hope it's back to 2022 and we have at least one film that we are like, this is the one. And I know you're not as high on Tar, but you understand though, from a screenplay alone, right? That film is one of the strongest films of that year and should definitely have multiple Oscars, and Everything Everywhere stole Oscars from Tar, which is a criminal action. And the fact that the Daniels have not walked at least one Oscar over to Todd Field at this point, knocked on his door and left it on the doorstep, is absurd. Nosferatu did get, again, Steve, where we expected, right? You got your cinematography and your makeup and that stuff and did it get score? What else did Nosferatu got? It got production design, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got 3 things. Yeah.
And cinematography, not a surprise, because we saw even The Lighthouse got cinematography nod, correct? So I feel, that's very possible. Cinematography tends to be able to extract that element well. Challenger's getting snubbed is a disgrace. Robert, I agree. It's one of the best films of the year. You like that film, right, Scott?
Yeah, I think that movie, unfortunately, I say this every year. I mean, I've gone, I know people hate when I say this, but it's like, you always know what movie a studio is pushing. And I feel like Amazon MGM was always going to be pushing Nickel Voice. It's where they flew. They did we talk about this. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. That, Amazon did the trip. They did the trip. for Nickel Boys.
They fly. So what Scott's talking about, he can't talk. I can because I don't care. I'll say it because he's right. Listen, ultimately, if it's true, then it does. We shouldn't be afraid to say it. Amazon and Netflix are known to fly members of Critics' Choice into Los Angeles to watch movies. So because they want to get the nominations. And what is going to get you a nomination more than an all expenses paid trip to Los Angeles to watch the movie, to go out, have your food taken care of, party with the stars? That's what they do. And these Critics' Choice people, a lot of them don't have much going on in their lives. So I'm sorry. Now Weber's getting mean. Sorry. Listen, I've been on for an hour and a half. I can do this now. They don't have a lot going on. So for them, it's exciting to come in and rub elbows with the stars and feel like I'm living it up in LA, where some of us live here and it's like whatever. But so that helps. So yeah, Amazon was pushing that. But the other thing I got to say, Scott, is remember the thing with Challengers, and I think you understand this, and we haven't talked about it. The thing with Challengers is it was early in the year. Okay, so let's not just make it as simple as, even though you're right, but they did do some things for it. I did get some invites for Challengers events, but remember,
they just couldn't. So what I've heard from Challengers was. This is what I've heard internally, was that they had a hard time kind of securing talent to do anything with it, right? So they kind of needed like Zendaya out there.
Yes.
They needed Josh. They needed what's my other guy's name? Mike. Like they needed they needed those three. And it was also hard. It was the same issue that I heard was also the problem with Dune. Why Dune didn't get as much of like FYC push this year was because people were not available to do so. So, that being said, I go back to this, we talked about this last year with Saltburn and Netflix. I think Netflix this year has finally gotten it, and kudos to the team over there for understanding that, is that they knew that they had one choice this year and that they had to put all their eggs in one basket and really push for a film. And they pushed for Amelia Perez. They Will and Harper, they tried for a while. I loved Hitman, but they knew that came out early. That kind of had a weird kind of campaigning and everything like that. I feel like the studios are now finally coming to terms with certain things, is that they didn't know that we can only kind of push our one film. And I think that's a smart thing. And I mean, I think, I know you didn't like it, but like Sing Sing, I mean, for me, it was very obvious from the beginning that The Brutalist was going to be the A24 priority. And, obviously Coleman and the team behind Sing Sing really did everything they could to kind of make that happen. And yes, A24 gave it some support, but it was always clear to me which movie they were going to push. And it was going to be The Brutalist. As soon as they bought that after Venice, I was like, okay, it's over. That's what they're going to push. They're not going to worry about anything else. And I think that's what you have to do. I mean, kudos to Universal. I mean, Universal and John and Riley over there, I'm going to give them a shout out. What they're able to do every year with their movies. I mean, even when they have stinkers, they always try to pick at least one or two movies, and they've done a hell of a job the last couple of years pushing movies out. And I mean, they knew Wicked was going to be a big thing, and they knew Wild Robot, and they went hard on Wild Robot right from the very beginning.
It's one of the, it's a huge studio, right? I mean, and also Universal is my favorite studio. I'm not going to lie. We're going to tell you, they are the best to work with. Scott, would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yep.
Easiest. They're awesome. If you send them an email, they'll get back to you. Some of the other studios like Disney, pain in the ass, can't stand Disney. Screw you, Disney. But I still like your films because it doesn't matter ultimately. But I do like the staff over at Universal. But to your point, like you said, they have to prioritize these films and figure out what's going to get them the best opportunity. And some of the films they don't spend attention on. They don't spend money on because they go, we're not going to get there. Apple had a bad year this year, right? They had Blitz, and Blitz didn't come through at all. I never saw Blitz. I've heard it was underwhelming. Nothing for Apple, right? Not a single nomination.
No, but I mean, listen, I think Apple, Apple came out of the gate strong. And I mean, I'm going to comment on Apple. I have more opinions that one day when I decide to write a book, I will write something about Apple in that book that people will if they know, will probably know what it's about. But Apple, like, I feel after they did the coda, they got everything that they wanted, right? Like, it's sort of like they already achieved it. And I feel like ever since that happened, they knew to scale. Like, they were hoping that Killers of the Flower Moon was going to do it. And then when they learned the lesson of, like, that movie didn't really resonate with people as much as they thought, I think they knew to kind of start scaling back and start doing that. I will say that for once, outside of like the word of mouth on Ted Lasso, which is obviously something that they did a great job in handling that campaign for, my biggest criticism of Apple has always been the lack of promotion that they've done for their stuff. But I will give the team credit, whoever's handling the Severance campaign, which is a TV show, by the way. If you're not watching it, one of the best TV shows on TV. They are really someone who took over that campaign is like doing a Spitfire job over there. Like, it's phenomenal what they're doing, like linking little videos and stuff. They're doing a really great job. But Apple, I think, has, been a company that's been very interesting to watch from an entertainment standpoint, because their stuff just has not hit. Like,
say the quality's strong, right? The quality
is so strong, but they just not have hit. And they finally learned, like, they're just like, we're not going to throw money at this, and I think that's, it's hard for a studio to realize that, but I think it's like there was enough losses and the numbers don't lie, right? At the end of the day, if you're looking at a number and you go like, more people watch one day of Netflix than they watch an entire month of Apple TV, you're kind of like, okay, maybe we shouldn't spend money on this.
Well, I think that, listen, ultimately it's about identifying talent, okay? And from a film perspective, right? You have to find directors that are singular talents, and then you attach your horse to that and you go, let's go, baby. Let's get this thing going. And I think Apple needs to do more of that. They did, obviously, Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, but they've got to identify and get scripts. And so whoever's down there this year was a reminder that in the film department, you better start getting some better recognition on talent and then find those and go. That said, I mean, listen, McQueen is a very, very impressive director, but Blitz, I didn't see it. I just know that it didn't go anywhere, and there's got to be a reason, because ultimately, Scott, this, if a film is great, the chances of it not being recognized are pretty low, okay? Because people will eventually come around and the word will get out. This film's good. Look at Better Man, a film that a lot of people dragged for the monkey thing. And then when you see it, like I did, go look on Twitter. People are finally watching Better Man going, this is a good film. Well, yeah. So eventually it'll comes around, but no one's talking about Blitz, right? So they clearly didn't have. Did you see Blitz? Like, what was the problem with Blitz?
Blitz is just, it's flat. The whole movie's flat.
Yeah.
I mean, Ronan, like, listen, I got so much shit when I came out of whatever the damn Irish
Outrun?
movie was Outrun. And like, people were like, oh, you just hate Saoirse Ronan. I'm like, first of all, I love Saoirse Ronan. But second of all, these two movies do not show her anywhere near the top of her game. So like, the fact that we even, again, I don't want to jump on this bandwagon with you, but like, the more I watch your stuff and the more I kind of hear what you say, like, I really kind of do. It's just like, it's like lip service. A lot of these people, like, it's so scary that people go into something and they have this attachment to an actress or a filmmaker or whatever the hell it is. And it's like, she's so great. It's like one of the best performers of the year. It's like, really? Like, no, it's not. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I love her too. But like, at the end of the day, like, this is not that great of a movie. It's not a great performance. And Blitz is just like, tonally, it's flat. The story, like, Blitz was one of the movies where I walked out of the theater and I said to myself, why? Like, why? Like, it felt like it went nowhere. Like, it was just like kind of like a circle just for the sake of being a circle. And I was just like, I don't get this. And for a Steve McQueen movie, it just felt very like, I don't know, like it didn't have any edge to it. It didn't take risks. It just sort of just felt very vanilla, I guess is the best way I can
Well,
describe it.
I think let's just, as we get ready to wrap here, those of you who are watching, thank you. Appreciate everybody. Awesome. Been on for an hour and 45 minutes, and it's way too early here in LA.
I cannot
5:30 when
believe
we
we
started.
did this for an hour and 45
Well,
minutes.
it's because, you know why? Because we know the films, we're passionate about it. It's easy. It's like you just start talking, and you get, if you don't know this stuff, then you can't have these conversations, guys. It's like, if you haven't watched the films, how could we have this discussion? We're obviously, this isn't a channel where I'm going to be like, oh, this is terrible. Hollywood's the worst. It's woke, this and that. So you can't even, what's that conversation like? So we're being honest, unvarnished, and truthful. And I think ultimately this is the thing I want to finish with what you're saying. We need to stop. Okay. You need to stop going into a movie by a director that you cherish, that you think is the bee's knees. And then you, because of that bias, you instantly say the film is great because I love the director. The director's never failed. Well, guess what? They just did. And I look no further, Scott, and you were there that night. You can attest. When I walked out of Babylon, you were there, came out of Babylon, and I love Chazelle. I even like First Man, but go back to Whiplash, even La La Land, right? Look at his filmography. Look at what he's done. And then you see Babylon. And I was up in the theater in Beverly Hills. You were there. And I walked out and I was furious. You remember, I had to leave. I had to remove myself from the situation because I was so angry. And the problem is everyone says it's Chazelle, therefore it's good. I proved in that one night, and I've done repeatedly, that you don't have attachments to directors, stars, studios. You watch what's in front of you on the screen, and that's the evaluation. It doesn't matter what they've done before. In fact, nothing matters. I mean, when we step on this stream, Scott, when I come on the stream every time, I don't think about the last one or the one from a week ago. It doesn't matter. It's now. I hope if you're watching for the first time, you're like, this is what you should expect every time. And if it's not good, then it's not good that time. I don't expect you to say it's always good. And that's the thing. Stop doing that. Do not. It's a disservice if you are a champion for something because you're a champion for it. And it gets back to tribal politics. It gets back to all of that nonsense that I want nothing to do with. And that, if you can break that habit, and you can be more of a critical thinker across the board and fearless in saying something is not great, even though you love Ronin, maybe you are not that impressed with the Outrun or with Blitz, that will go a long way to making you interesting. And I know, Scott, you get that. You're not like that. You're like me. And that's what makes us people go. That's why people come after us on Twitter. How dare you? Well, what do you mean? How dare you? Did you not watch Anora? I don't care about Sean Baker. If that was directed by anybody else, you would be like, this is terrible. And again, I'm sorry. Why, can I ask you a question, Scott? Since when is Sean Baker Coppola? Since when is Sean Baker, a director that's been around, that has made truly monumental films? What world are we living in where we're pretending Sean Baker is another Scorsese or something? This is insanity. I mean, film Twitter is, I'm telling you, I'm not going to get angry this morning, Scott. I'll let you talk. I'm going to say one more thing. Film Twitter is full of some of the most clueless, this is the nicest way I can put it, people on planet Earth, that you're going to equate a Sean Baker to a director who's actually made great films, because that is not the case. I don't care what Greta Gerwig has to say about Anora. The fact that we are pretending that Sean Baker is at a class of let's just use current directors of a look at a Bong, or you look at any director who's working today that is considered great. How dare you tell me that Sean Baker is at the same level and we have to assume that everything he makes is great? It's bizarre, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the problem that a lot of people have in general is, we look at ourselves as like fans of something, right? Or of someone, of a filmmaker, director, or series, whatever the case may be. But the reality of it is that, and I don't know why it's so hard, but no one has 100% batting average on things. And you can have like, I use a couple people always as my examples, right? And I know you completely disagree with this, which is fine because we're two different people, right? But for me, like a lot of people have like a director who they grew up with, who kind of like made them want to do that, want to be in cinema, wanted to either study it, make it, whatever the case may be, right? And for me, the person who it was for me growing up, whose work kind of inspired me to like want to be in a creative field or do stuff creatively, was Tim Burton, right? And I saw, Big Tom, Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Oh yeah.
Beetlejuice, Batman, Nightmare Before Christmas, even though he didn't direct that. Ed Wood, like those movies, like to me are like the definition of shaping a childhood, right? But as you kind of progress in your career, and you've talked about this a lot on your stream, is that the older you get, you lose a lot of vision. You almost lose. Sometimes you get into the system, you get beaten down by the system, and you start making stuff that even like a Dark Shadows, which like you've heard like Tim Burton say like, oh, like that was the thing that I loved growing up and I really want to do it. You can't say like, I can't say like as a Tim Burton fan, as like one of the reasons that I would credit to be even in this industry, I can't sit here and say like Dark Shadows, great movie. Like I just can't say that, right? Because it's not a great movie. And I love Johnny Depp, not a great performance from him. And, it's just reality of this is that you can't look at everything. Everyone always jokes about me with Kristen Stewart things. Kristen Stewart has made some really bad movies. And like, that's just the reality of it. And I think like, that is it. Like you're going to have, it doesn't mean you love the person any less because they were in a mediocre movie, but like you have to separate the two and kind of realize like, you're not always going to have the home run, and it's okay if you don't always have the home run. And I don't know why fans are so obsessed with like this, but it's very weird.
Fans, well, yeah, it is weird. It is weird. I have no loyalty whatsoever. Clearly. I do not. Everything's always just about the individual way. But here's what I say also is it's one thing for the fans to do that. It's another for the critics, right? Because the critics, and I've said this 1,000 times, here's 1,001, or maybe 1,000,001 on the stream. The number of truly talented, fearless, agendaless critics in the space is sub 1%. 1%. So you need to understand that even if you get somebody who has some talent, they're going to carry an agenda in. If you have the talent and the agenda, they're going to have an issue with bringing in the filmography of a director and saying because it's from this director, therefore it's good. Look no further than Megalopolis. I mentioned Coppola. Someone said Megalopolis, worst film of the year. It's truly staggeringly horrible. Okay, but when you look at that, it's hard to find that, and it's a disappointment that we have so many people who are considered value in the space that have no talent. Look at a Sean Fennessy, zero talent, zero. Okay, less than zero talent, and I'm not, and that's fair. It's 100% fair. I've never seen somebody who is valued as high, who has as little talent as Sean Fennessy, and so what? I'll say it every time because it's true. But you look at that, Scott. We have so many people. You need to find people, identify people who have talent and don't have agendas. Go back and you look at a great example. And Scott, I know you're going to be with me on this, and it's perfectly timely right now with J.D. Vance. You look at Hillbilly Elegy. I remember watching that film. I remember saying, I like this film. I like the message of the film. But remember what happened. Oh, it's J.D. Vance. Therefore, it's terrible. And I'm telling you, if you have a left-wing weirdo critic like that, you need to disregard everything they say because they are totally unreliable. And conversely, I'm not a far right. I don't, Scott, you're not this. You're same way as me, right? We've never walked into films and, oh, it's bad because it's woke. Can you imagine? Like, that's how the review starts. It's bad because it's got gay in it. Excuse me. What did you just say? What is wrong with you? Are you broken? And there's so many people out there. I'm not going to mention a name here. You know what name I'm going to go with. And the whole channel's about that. That's all they do. That's their whole brand. I'm sorry if I don't have a brand other than to be authentic and accurate. Sorry. I don't know if that's a brand. That's a brand. But Scott, that's why you're here. Okay. As we get ready to wrap this, why is it? Scott's here And the reason Scott shows up and no one else does is Scott's the only person, one of the very few, who's able to do that. And even if he loves a Kristen Stewart, if he thinks the next movie's bad, he's going to say it's bad. Okay, so that is why
everyone expected me to walk out of Love Lies Bleeding. I mean, I remember seeing that at Sundance here last year, and you know, I had very mixed feelings on the film, and it's funny because, you know, Eric talks about this all the time, and I mean, I'm going to echo it. I'm not going to go as, you know, not going to drill down on it as much as he does, but you know, there's a lot of truth. And I mean, Eric's very brave for saying a lot of things that he says. And the thing is that you have to realize that this entire industry is about access, right? So I'll give you an example right now. Okay, so I did an interview with Kristen Stewart for Love Me. And what happened? Well, I raved about Love Me. The directors even remembered that I wrote about it outside of Sundance. Did I get an interview for Love Lies Bleeding? No. Why? Because I didn't say that it was as great as some of the other stuff. Mm-hmm. So the reality of all this stuff is it plays very much into how you view it. I mean, there's been so many junkets that over the years that I sent out like a lukewarm tweet or a bad tweet about that I've been removed from. It's just the reality, as much as people don't want to talk. And I get it. Like, it's a protection, right? Like the filmmakers, the actors don't want to talk to someone who they might ask or get asked a question that's going to go viral if they answer wrong because they didn't like it. Like, it makes sense. It's business is business, but you have to understand that when you're listening to a lot of these folks, that there's that. Like, listen, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, the award sites are like all like studio funded, right? Like you're getting ads that go on there. If they know that you absolutely hate something, you're not going to.
I'm going to comment. I'm going to comment on that in a second. Keep going. You're not going to get the access.
But yeah, you're not going to get the access to it. You're not going to get the funding of it because, like, essentially, like, that's what it is. It kind of comes down to, it's like they're going to choose whether it's Amazon, Netflix, Universal, ABC, HBO, whoever the case may be. It's like they're going to look at this and they're going to put in ads because, you know, that's where they're going to spend the money, and they want to appeal to awards voters. But the access thing is very important. I mean, listen, you know, Jake Hamilton. I mean,
he works for Fox. He works for a local Fox in Chicago.
Well, not only that, but like, it's also like, you know, there's a bunch of people. I've been doing the junket scene. I haven't done as much of it lately, but like, I've done the junket scene for like years upon years, and there's like about 15 to 20 people who you will always know, who will always be at everything. Jake's one of them. Kevin McCarthy's another one.
Yep.
There's a group
shills, Scott. They're shills because they have to be, because they're interviewing. That's why
I just, you see, that's the thing. Like, I think what happens is that there needs to just be like a disclaimer, right? And I mean, listen, and I agree with you.
Agree 100%
about like the whole, like, listen, Eric Davis is working for a website that sells tickets. So like, he's not going to come out of things and be like, hey, this movie's terrible. Again, there's exceptions to every rule, right? Because of the fact that, like, we as an industry have,
I think he liked Madam Web.
But we as an industry, really?
Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. I think he came out and said something positive about Madam Web.
But I think we as an industry, what's really problematic about it is that, you know, we have to be able to kind of separate the space and kind of be able to kind of like talk about it. And I think that's a problem because, you know, there's a few movies that come out every year, and Eric talks about this a lot, and I've always talked about this, is like, there's a punching bag movie, right? And Joker was the punching bag movie that everyone okayed. Dear Evan Hansen a couple years ago was the punching bag movie that everyone okayed. Like, there's a movie or two every year that, like, everyone can free range, right? Where you see Variety, Hollywood Reporter, whatever it is, everyone's attacking it, even the trades and stuff like that. And what people don't realize about the trades and all this stuff is those traits are only in existence to promote these movies and to promote talent. So when you sit there and you go like, how did Wicked get the cover of Variety? It's part of like a 20, like a multi-thousand or $1 million deal where like your essentially goes, okay, Cynthia's going on the podcast. We're going to do a photo shoot with Ariana and this person. And it's all part of it. Jazz is going to do, the Q&A for this. Clayton's going to do this. Whoever it is, like everyone's going to do something, and it's just part of the deal. And like you have to realize that that's why. Like if you go into most of these moderations, you're always kind of like, why is the same couple people here? Why is Janelle Riley at everything? Why is Pete Hammond at everything? It's these are deals that are worked out. The people, they know that the people are not going to go off kilter and ask anything out of the ordinary. They're going to kind of follow the book. They're going to ask the safe questions. And
because you know what you're saying, Scott. Everything you're saying. And as we're almost done with 2 hours. I'm going back to bed. Here's what I want to tell you: is that they're part of the system. They're part of the system, Scott. They're part, right? That's it. They're part of the system, and I'm not part of the system. You're not part of. I'm 100. I am completely anti-system. Okay, so that clearly comes through on MMT. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But if you do see someone like a Jake's Takes or a Kevin McCarthy, these people that work for the local Fox affiliates, and or are someone like a Perry Nemiroff who does interviews with people, you can't trust them. I don't care what you tell me. You can't trust them, because I can't trust anybody who cannot come out of a film and say it's fucking terrible. And even because they can't, because they won't, because they know they won't get the access. They'll get in trouble from the studio. The Variety's going to get angry. THR, I could never work for Deadline, THR, Variety. I could destroy a podcast for them, but I will never do it, because they would never let me, because I would destroy Sean Baker, and they'd be like, that's it, we can't have this. And then you know what happened? Nora, they would call, and you know this, Neon would call, and they'd say, if Erick's going to do the thing, we're not going to do anything. To your point, we're not doing anything with you for the rest of award season. But guess what, studios, as we get ready to wrap, that's why Scott's here again, you can't control us. You're never going to control us, and good luck. And we're going to play hardball, and you're going to enjoy it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to sit back and you're going to fucking enjoy it, because we're not going to play games. And that's going to be ultimately the way to win. So I'm glad you guys were here this morning. Thanks for being here. I want to say big round of applause, everybody, for Scott Menzel. Thank you, Scott. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Always a pleasure. That's why you're here, buddy, because you're one of those people. You're one of those people. There's not many of them. Rob, quickly, how the hell y'all still going? That's it. This is it. It's 2 hours. I'm pulling the plug here at 2 hours. Thank you, Scott. As always, I will see you soon. Okay. I can't wait to see you really soon. All right. There goes Scott. I'm going to wrap here right now, because tonight I'm going to see Flight Risk. I don't know why I do these things, but we're going to do a short stream tonight when I come out of Flight Risk tonight at about 8 o'clock tonight. So it's going to be the longest day ever. The 5:30 a.m. call time here this morning for this stream, and then the 8 p.m. close out tonight before I crash and check out Flight Risk. And we'll have that evaluation live here tonight. Additional, some Oscar thoughts. I think we did a good job covering it, though. 2 hours, right? It's all here. If you missed some of it, go back on YouTube. You can watch this stream via Midnight Movie Talk. That is the channel. Give me a like, give me a subscribe, and go say hi to Scott on Twitter, on X, whichever you want to call it. We are there. Thanks for being here on this Oscar nominations morning, the last time we'll ever be on at 5:30 a.m. until next year. Thank God. Thanks for being here. Peace out. Peace out. Live from the City of Angels. MMT is over.